Hershel and the Hanukkah Goblins. It was the first night of Hanukkah. Hershel of Osterpol was walking down the road, tired and hungry, but his step was light, and he would reach the next village, and there would be platters filled with latkes awaiting him. But when he arrived, the village was silent and dark. Not a single Hanukkah candle in sight. "Isn't this the first night of Hanukkah?" asked Hershel. "We don't have Hanukkah, Hershel." "No Hanukkah? How can that be?" "It's because of the goblins. They haunt the old synagogue at the top of the hill. They hate Hanukkah. Whenever we try to light the menorah, the goblins blow out the candles. They bring out the dreidels. They throw the potato latkes on the floor. Those wicked goblins make our lives miserable all year long. But on Hanukkah, it's really bad." But Hershel knew he must help the village people. "I'm not afraid of goblins. How do I get rid of them?" "It's not as easy as you think. You must spend 8 nights in the old synagogue. Candles must be lit. On the 8th night, the king of the goblins must light them himself. That is the only way to break their power." "I'm not afraid, Rabbi," Hershel said. "If I can't outwit a few goblins, then my name is not Hershel of Osterpol." The villagers wished Hershel good luck. They packed several hard-boiled eggs, a big jar of pickles, and the rabbi gave Hershel a brass menorah and a bunch of candles and matches. They said goodbye. No one expected to see Hershel again. Finally, the 7th night arrived. 8 tiny candles fit on the windowsill, and Hershel sat by to watch the candles. And then he heard a horrible sound. The sound like the cracking of bones. "Happy Hanukkah, Hershel of Osterpol." "Who is it? Who's there?" "Don't you know who I am? Weren't you expecting the king of the goblins?" The voice rose to a hurricane roar. It ripped the shingles from the synagogue roof and shattered the windows. The Hanukkah candles reeled in the savage blast, but they did not blow out. "You were too early. You're not supposed to come until tomorrow." "Enjoy this Hanukkah evening, my friend. It will be your last. Tomorrow night I will come for you." "You fooled the other goblins. Let's see if you can fool me." What was Hershel to do? The king of the goblins was on his way. Nothing on earth could stop him. Unless Hershel had an idea. It was a big chance, but he had to take it. It was the only way to save himself and Hanukkah. It was the last night of Hanukkah. Hershel put the menorah on a small table near the door. Then he sat down to wait. Night fell. It grew dark as pitch inside the old Hanukkah. Outside, the old world lay cold and silent. Suddenly a great gust shook the synagogue. A fearsome voice spoke. Hershel of Ostropol. Did I hear something? It is I, the king of the goblins. Hershel laughed. Don't be silly. You're one of the boys from the village. You're just trying to scare me. I am not a boy. I am the king of the goblins. I'll believe it when I see it. Show yourself to me. Behold, I stand before you. Do you believe me now? Hershel tried not to look. Even in the darkness, he could see the shape of a horrible shape, too terrible to describe. He pretended not to scare. It's too dark. I can't see anything. There are some matches by the doorway. Why don't you light some candles? Then I'll see who you really are. Indeed you shall. The match flared. The sharpest candle caught the flame. Hershel's blood turned to water at the awful sight before him, but he did not lose courage. It's still too dark. What are you afraid of? There are plenty of candles. Why not light them all? A hideous hand took the shameless candle, and then one by one lit the candles. He forced himself to look, but his eyes grew wider and wider as each candle caught the flame. 6, 7, 8. The king of the goblins stood before him. Now, Hershel, do you know who I am? Be gone, or I'll take a stick to you. How dare you speak to the king of the goblins that way? I'll speak to you any way I please. You have no power here. Your spell is broken. See, the menorah is lit. You thought those were ordinary candles? They are Hanukkah candles, and you lit them yourself. The king of the goblins roared with fury. The earth trembled, and the earth shook, and the roof splintered, and the synagogue fell like matchsticks. The whirlwind howled, but the candles never flickered. The king of the goblins had no power over him. The spirit of Hanukkah had triumphed. The great wind vanished. Hershel rubbed his eyes. The night was as still as before, even though the synagogue was gone, but the menorah remained on his little table where he had placed it. Hershel had waited until the last candle blew out. I'd better hurry, he said. I don't want to miss the last night of Hanukkah. There was no reason to worry. In all of the windows in the village, there were menorah candles. The village was waiting for him, and he saved Hanukkah.